So what we're going to start with then is a little game I've invented, kind of.
Oh dear.
And this is about the level of this podcast.
That's fine.
We're going to be reaching. Do you know what I mean? So it's called, don't laugh at the name too much, it's called Judo or Judon't.
Judo, yeah, nice.
Okay, which I thought was quite a clever play on words. This is based more around like jiu-jitsu and grappling, but basically things that you would do or wouldn't do that are kind of frowned upon. So the first Judo or Judon't is pulling guard.
No.
Never.
Well, to be fair, right, there is an exception to this, because when I go to local jiu-jitsu clubs and it's somebody's like dad just trying to keep fit, they do it once a week, they're just there for a good time.
Yeah.
Obviously I'll start on the ground. I'm not going to like be that guy like, oh, listen mate, I'll toot my own horn, tell them how great I am at standing, which is obviously brilliant. So I'll just maybe pull guard and start on the ground, because I'm not trying to leather someone and put them in a car crash, you know.
That's a good
So
answer.
that's acceptable, but in a competitive match, obviously I wouldn't pull guard.
Yeah. What about wrist locking?
No, but right. Two
Everyone's got a dark side, right?
Everyone's got a dark side. If you're in prison, you know, you need to do it then. Look after yourself. Prison rules. And like, to be fair, even some of the grip breaks I was showing today, like it can be a bit wristy.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say no to wrist locking, just to break grips and be a
I
bit
teach
of a
them loads
bastard.
down here, you know.
Yeah.
For that reason of breaking grips.
It's horrible.
Not so much in the stand-up, but definitely like when people are framing against you for jiu-jitsu.
Yeah,
if you can like bend the fingers back like with your chest or something like that as you go on
100%.
passing. So I agree with you on that one.
Two terrible people right here.
This is how I'm getting to get to know you, basically.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
what you can see what type of person you are. Well, that mother's milk. You know the mother's milk submission.
I've never done it, but I wouldn't be against doing it to someone. Assert some real dominance, you know.
Yeah. I'm in two minds with that one, to be fair.
Why?
We've got one of the lads who does it. He's a big lad as well. He actually won the Bastard of the Year award at the end
I'm
of
not
this
fucking
year.
Surprised.
He did it to a woman.
Well,
Mother's milk to a woman.
He deserved, right, if you're going to say mother's milk, I don't know. If you're going to say, would you do it to a woman if you were twice their size? I would say
women
no.
or children changes it, doesn't it?
Women or children.
So I've not really done it myself, to be fair, but I think it's because I've not really got much of a chest. So it doesn't really work.
That's all I am. Walking chest these days.
Half man, half chest.
Half man, half chest.
What about ghost tapping? Would you ghost tap? You know, when like a Brazilian tap.
What, like
so when someone's
really
putting an arm bar on and you give them like a little one of them so they let go, but you didn't really tap. And you're both kind of looking at each other and you're like, no, I didn't tap.
Nah, I just kind of let it. I'd just tap. But I was like, I call it I don't know what you call it in jiu-jitsu. I was mat side for someone like in the coach's chair at the under 18s British the other week. And that happened. It was literally like he got him in, I think it was a strangle. He jumped over the back of him and the guy like kind of tapped once. And this kid we've got is great on the ground. He does jiu-jitsu as well. And the guy was like, I didn't tap because it has to be 2 taps in judo.
Yeah.
So my kid was like then just kind of a bit annoyed about that, and I think it got to his head a bit and he lost the fight. But so maybe in comp I'd do it. I've literally, in judo you can have a verbal tap as well if someone makes enough noise, but unless you actually get them to stop. So it's happened before where I've kind of gone like made that weird noise and the ref's gone like hip on, and I've been like I didn't tap, and I didn't tap, and then I won the fight. But so yeah, maybe I am a dickhead. Yeah.
Well, these next two will probably decide that. So slamming. So if someone's got you in a submission, would you slam them?
Well, it depends. Like, I'm not going to do it at like, you know, a little Tuesday night in Cannock, but you know, if there's like money or you know a bit of pride on the line, maybe. Yeah, you got to do what you got. It's a dog eat dog world out there. It's a dog eat dog world.
Heel hooks in the gi. For me, this is the worst one. I'm not just talking about heel hooks. I'm talking about in the gi.
What, just
so it's not just a leg lock. I'm talking about like when you're training in the gi. And obviously most people probably train to IBJJF rules. So most people would do like straight ankle locks, knee bars in the gi,
I mean...
So to me, like heel hooking someone in the gi is like the biggest fuck you. You could probably do it to someone. I could wrist lock someone and not feel bad about wrist locking them. If I was heel hooking in the gi, I don't know why I'd do that.
I mean, I don't do it just because I'm not very good at them and I'm better at other things. But I mean, if the other person was game, you know, I wouldn't surprise someone with it. I'd be like, do you want to have a go at it and say we can just anything goes type thing? If they're like, yeah, sound, let's do it. Maybe then. But I'm not going to like say, oh, can we flow roll and then slap a heel hook in the gi on.
But that's the problem sometimes, I think, with rolling is it's we don't always know that everyone's playing the same rules.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like sometimes I feel a bit nervous about putting certain things. Like if I went to a different club, I'd be a bit nervous about doing certain leg locks because I'd be thinking, are they playing the leg lock game or not? We've not really like had a discussion to agree if we're doing it or not.
See, that's why if you're just not very good at them like me, I just never do it. And then you're laughing.
Or if you just don't give a fuck, you just do everything anyway.
Yeah.
At least people know where you stand.
You know what I mean? It's your world, innit? We just live in it.
Well, that's that. That's the little game out of the way.
That's interesting, yeah. You know me better now.
You definitely.
I think maybe he's not a nice guy.
You definitely do all right down here, training down here. So we're all about wrist locks and heel hooks.
Yeah, I respect that.
And pulling guard. Which you probably don't respect. All right, and some serious questions then. How long have you been doing judo?
I've been doing judo since I was like 5, 6, so that's like nearly 20 years. Because my dad used to do it, so he was my first coach. Yeah. And he'd like go down on Saturday or wherever, probably just to get out of the house, you know, get away from the wife and that. And he'd have to take me with him, so I'd just be sat on the side. So in the end, I had to join in. But I did like it. Saves you stood on the side of the mat misbehaving and that. So long time. I've done it full time for 6 years as well. Okay. Like 6.5 over in Walsall, which has gone a bit quick.
So how do you like survive life like financially if you're full time?
We get.
You work?
Obviously, I'm grateful. No, not right now. I need to though. So we get some support depending on what level of results you get. We get the comps and camps paid for, and I get like, I mean, I'll just be like dead open, but I get 8k like for money for judo, which ain't a lot. It's definitely not enough to live on. It's better than no, but and I was a student as well for the last like 4 years, so I got student finance as well, so that was enough to live on together. But I've literally just finished that this year. Oh well, last year now. So fuck knows. I need to get a job or something. It's hard though, isn't it? Because you go away, like I go away to train all the time. Like you go 6 weeks in Japan, 4 weeks in Georgia. You're all over. Yeah. And obviously, like not many employers are going to be like, oh yeah, I don't really care if you go away for 6 weeks. Yeah. So it's tough. Yeah. Maybe if I just did better, I'd earn more money on the funding matrix. But it's tough. The Olympic years are so competitive. That it kind of warps it. It's a lot easier. Like I was on 15 grand a year before, even though I was only like 20, 21, just because the comps are easier. When it's Olympic qualification, every fucker does it from everywhere. And excuses.com right there.
I'll ask you more about that later on.
Yeah, cool.
Where was that? So did you always want to do judo? You said jiu-jitsu then.
Yeah.
Did you always want to do judo or did like a family member push you in? Like you're saying your dad's training.
Yeah, no, he didn't.
Did he kind of encourage it or did you
he encouraged it. Like he took me to train all the time, but I just did it like, I was one of them kids, I did like every sport. Yeah. And I was like crap at loads of them as well. Yeah. But yeah, and then when I was like, you get to that age, don't you, when you're probably like 15 or something, I just got really into judo. Like any free time I had, I'd watch judo. Or like study it. I'd train every night. I was just for years. I mean, I still am, but yeah, I got bitten by that bug. Yeah. I didn't know I wanted to do it like full time as a job and try and, you know, qualify for the Olympics and do this and that. I was good enough. I was junior British champion, which is under 21s when I was 17. So I got like offered to go full time down at Walsall, and you got a free room. You know, they won't be happy about me saying this, but I was like, student finance, free room, save a bit of money. Okay, like I'll just go to uni around there and I'll figure it out. And then I just ended up just staying in it. I enjoy it. It's a great life, I think.
But you say from like 15 was when you really got committed to it?
I mean, I think it's hard to get committed to it before that age. Yeah. Like when you're that kid, like every kid's impressionable, but I mean, my dad definitely didn't push me into it. Really? And he handed me on to other coaches when I was around that age, because I think it's hard to coach your own son, innit? Not because we were like falling out, just because he was like, oh, this guy can probably offer you more. Yeah.
So who were your coaches then from start to where you are now?
First coach was my dad for years, and then it was a guy called Gordon Lambert. I still get him to sit in my chair at like the British Championships and stuff. He's a cool guy.
Yeah.
You know, he's like everyone else is in tracksuits and stuff. Matt side, he's there in a full suit. He looks like a mafia mob boss or something. And then I went to the National Centre. Even when I was back at home though, there were so many people, like a guy called Lord Pritchard coached me a lot, Seth, Birch. Like, I'd go to a lot of different clubs. Judo doesn't tend to be so protective over like cross training and stuff at different places. Then I went full time when I was 18. Coach was a guy called Danny Roberts. He's a great bloke. He helped me a lot because he just helped me to see it a little bit lighter. I think I can be maybe a bit of an intense person, a bit intense training partner, especially back then when I was 8. I was just so raw. Yeah. And he'd just be like, fucking hell, mate, relax, it's only judo. And there'd be a session and I'd be there like, I really don't want to do this. And he'd be like, just chill out then, mate. You know what I mean? And now my coach is a guy called Colin Oates, who was a player who went to like the London and Rio Olympics and stuff, and he's transitioned to coaching, so he's been my coach now for the last few years.
Well, you're from Barnsley, right?
Yeah, near Barnsley. Yeah. So like, it's tough. I'm from a place called Penistone. Yeah. So anyone from Barnsley is like, you're not from Barnsley, cock. And anyone from Sheffield's like, you're not from Sheffield. Yeah. So I always say Barnsley or Sheffield because no one's heard of Penistone. But an episode of Top Gear has been to Penistone because it's spelled penis tone.
Yeah. You know what, I ain't gonna lie. I did a bit of like a background check and I seen it. The first thing I thought was penis tone.
Penis tone, yeah. You know, I didn't even realise till I was like probably like 14 trying to make an Xbox name with the name Penistone, and it won't let you do it because it says penis. I'm like, why the fuck won't it let me do this? Obviously, yeah, I'm from there, little town.
So you've always trained in Sheffield then?
I've always trained like Penistone, Sheffield, Barnsley, Rotherham, like around that kind of area, and then until I went to Walsall. But I started going to Walsall a lot anyway when I was like 16 for like England programme training camps and stuff like that. Because there ain't that much judo up north, which is a shame. Like most people from judo, they're all from like the south, like around like London and Bath and places like that. Or, you know, I sound like I'm being really anti-southern here. I like southern people, but and Scotland, they have an advantage in that sense, I think. I'm just fighting builders that come and do judo for a bit of a laugh. Trying to get actually good, it's hard.
That's interesting. I thought more of the grappling was from the north.
No, and I think it used to be, you know, like obviously, I'm guessing you know Gorthorpe.
Yeah, I was just about to mention that.
Gorthorpe used to coach me a bit on the ground. What a bastard, eh? What a bastard.
I've never met him, you know.
You've never met him?
No.
I like him. He's a good guy. He's crazy though. I suppose good judo people are.
Yeah, I've heard some good stories about him.
I think he helped me a lot actually with like ground. A lot of judo people, I'm not saying I'm like there are better judo people than me on the ground, but I think I'm quite good. A lot of like his armbar stuff. Yeah. I used to do when I was younger, and I definitely can. Yeah. I'm better now than I was then, but it's helped a lot, I think.
So back then, who's your heroes? Who's your role models?
Heroes and role models back then or now?
I'd say coming up.
Coming up.
So say you know, at age 15 or whatever.
I mean, I always looked up to my dad in a way that a son looks up to their dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I didn't like idolise people so much. Maybe that's my own level of conceited arrogance. But the things I like from people, I take from, and I'd respect the best players in the country who'd been to the Olympics and stuff. But I've never been someone for like worshipping other people, as daft as that sounds, or thinking that anyone should do the same ever. I think you get a lot of it in martial arts, you know. People like, I don't think I've had any big. I mean, there's stories I like an old Welsh guy called Tommy Farr who boxed for a world title like way back, but it's less the sport, more because it was like he was doing it to make money for his family in a mining community, and his mum couldn't support his brothers and sisters and stuff like that. So I think my heroes have been more for like their personal morals than just the fact they're good at fighting. Most people who are good at fighting are sound, but not everyone.
Yeah, it's a strange thing because I would say in martial arts that less people have like heroes as such. Because I think it's so much more accessible than having like a football hero. So if you're into football and your hero is Ronaldo,
that's true. You're never going to meet him. Yeah.
You ain't never training him. You're not even getting close to him. You might see him if you watch a game. That's it.
Yeah.
As far as like, you know, seeing him in the flesh, but in martial arts, like I remember just going to tournaments like years ago and having photos with everyone. everyone who was like the highest level guys, the Galvaus, Garcia was there. You put your arm around and get a photo. You're talking to him. I remember chatting with him, like Matt Serra, and like just talked to me like he was my mate. Like I'd known him for years. It blew my mind a bit because I was like, this is a guy like
I do like
I've
that
seen off the TV.
about.
So yeah, that's a good thing about martial arts. That I think if you have got people you idolise, you can get close to them.
Yeah.
And like almost hang off the coattails a little bit.
You can, yeah. And most people in martial arts as well, I think, like, if I look when I was coming up, people I looked up to for things like how they train, they do help you a lot and they are good. But I think as well it gets you out of that, like, I don't think it's good to idolise people. I think a lot of people have some sort of predilection towards idolising people. Like a American girl worshipping Taylor Swift or something. I don't think it's the best way to live your life. I think, you know, and if you actually know someone, you're less likely to idolise them because. But I do think they're good people. Yeah, the people in judo I looked up to. Yeah.
Did you have any setbacks or obstacles that you had to overcome when you were coming up, such as injuries, self-doubt, distractions, girlfriends? Playing Xbox, do you know what I mean? Know all the things that will like knock a kid off track. Would you say there's any major one that kind of like was difficult to overcome?
I have been quite lucky, to be honest. I've always had my dad to take me to all the training. Then, like, I didn't have a girlfriend till I was doing judo, and she did it full time. I'm still with her. So that's always been like fully supportive. There's never been those big distractions until this year. I've been very lucky with injuries. Touch wood, that'll continue. Once when I was a kid, I injured my hip, which is actually, I've injured my hip now as well. I did it like 7 minutes into a fight. I still fought for like another 5 minutes after that, and I had like a little hip fracture, but other than that, nothing. Hardly any setbacks. And like I say, I was just obsessed with judo. So these other setbacks of like social life, partying, this and that when you're a teenager, I don't know if it's good to be like reclusive and go into judo. It's not like I was deliberately isolating myself or unfriendly, but I just chose judo. So I didn't really have any setbacks. But
do you think there's anything that caused that? So like basically what I'm trying to get to, I'm trying to pick your brain in the direction of I've got 2 daughters, and at some point I want them to do jiu-jitsu, not necessarily like professionally or anything like that, but I want them doing martial arts in some form. And I want them to kind of not maybe be totally obsessed with it, but to the point where like it becomes more important than doing some of the stuff with your friends and stuff like that.
I don't know if it's just like my personality, probably a bit like yours or anyone that's good at judo or BJJ. Like you just have that level of like healthy autism towards it, where you're like, fuck, I've just got to learn everything and watch everything. I don't know. I used to like watch. Old people who used to watch these will agree with me. There were these old, like, I think they were called Judo for the World videos or something, or they were like highlights of all the old Grand Prix and Grand Slams. I just used to watch them when I was like eating my breakfast. They were such good videos. It was like match of the day for Judo Grand Slams. They were sick. I don't know, just suppose watching that, maybe want to do it.
Did you have friends that were into it as well? Like close friends?
Nah, not really. Not from Penistone. Like people would come along to the club and then my mates do it for a bit and then sort of quit and this and that. I've made my best friends now, like I've made friends through judo. I think everyone who's done a form of martial arts, who's been in it for a long time, I think will say the same thing. It just takes so much of your life, doesn't it, to get good. And it's worth, and you got a common interest as well, you know. Like I still have things to talk to people about. I'm not like a complete judo bore, believe it or not. But I don't know, it is a bit all encompassing, like when you train a lot, and it's good to have friends and stuff outside of judo, definitely. But you do end up with just getting in that world, don't you?
No, I hear you. What's the mind shift like from going from beginner to competitor? So obviously there's people that wouldn't compete that could maybe do what you've done in terms of getting like immersing yourself into it, but you wouldn't necessarily compete. So at what point have you decided to compete, and what's the mindset difference between just being like a hobbyist that trains a lot and someone who's gonna not just compete but go on to compete at a high level?
You know, I've never been a hobbyist, so it's hard to say. Like even when I was young, when I was like 8, before I was like actually obsessed with judo, my dad would make me do a competition before doing each grading.
Right.
Because it used to be that way. You used to have to win your grades in judo, not anymore. So I've always competed a lot, like throughout my childhood. And I never didn't want to do it, but I didn't like it as much, I think, because it is like something that makes you nervous and everything. Still does now.
Yeah.
Don't know. I suppose there is a mindset shift, but I think you still have to enjoy it the way a hobbyist enjoys it to get good at being a competitor.
Yeah.
You can't be too serious and never playful with it.
So what age do you think that was then when you switched from not being so keen on competing to
probably about the time when I was like about 15.
Yeah.
I just started doing well in a couple of events. I'd be like, oh, fuck it, I can definitely beat these guys. And yeah.
Do you think you need that? Do you think you need a few wins under your belt? You know, like get a wind in your sails?
Yeah, I think you do. I think if you just lose all the time, it's not fun, is it?
As a kid, I think it's probably pretty easy to get disheartened and you have a few losses. In fact, I've seen it down here with some of the kids. We've won a couple of competitions twice a year down here, and there's some of them that just never want to compete again once they've done it. They've had a couple of bad experiences, like, I ain't doing that again. How old were you when you first competed?
You can start competing when you're 8, so 8.
Yeah, okay.
In judo.
So how did you find it, like, mentally when you're young? So there's a different question that I'll ask you later on as well, like what it's like to go into the Commonwealth Games and where your head's at, but what's it like as a kid?
I don't know. I liked it in a way because whilst I would be nervous and scared, and you've got like a grown man reffing you, telling you what to do, and you're out there on your own, it's a very isolated and exposed feeling. Yeah. But there were things I liked. Like my dad had run a club, and I'd almost like the feeling of saying to him, like, I'll go and coach other people, and doing it by myself in a bit of a, I don't know, almost show-offy type way. Look how hard I am. So I've always just... Yeah, I didn't like it in some respects, but I kind of never showed it or told anyone because I just like being that guy, you know.
Yeah, I think that's what gets everyone hooked. Like I say, only if you're winning though.
I wasn't always winning though when I was a kid.
Yeah,
I definitely wasn't always winning. I wasn't losing constantly either though. Yeah. I think there was a balance. I won and lost. What
techniques did you favour back then?
Back then? I was a kid, so I just used to grab all them swinger legs, see what happened.
I was going to say, was there much like technical understanding?
No, was there? I used to have different judo though, even when I was like 15, like, because I'm under 81s now. I'm not 81 kilos after being injured for a bit. I'm definitely heavier. Yeah. But I was like the same height and like 60, 66s. So I used to do Uchimata and stuff where you use longer legs for. Yeah. Don't do any of that now.
So how many competitions have you done altogether?
I couldn't. I mean...
Roughly like how many times a year do you think you would have competed?
Like...
So let's say up until like the Commonwealth Games, like how many times a year do you think you compete?
I mean, I think at the stage I'm at now, I'm going to compete a bit less and peak and be ready to perform. Yeah. But like in the last year of, say, Olympic qualification, I competed something like 15 times in less than a year. And that's like including the travel, the weight cut. Yeah. It's not like I just turn up on a Sunday at my own weight and compete 15 times. Like, a lot. I couldn't tell you how many fights I've had.
Yeah. Is that just one good year, or would you say that's been a lot of consistent years?
I mean, that's been a little bit more than the other years, but pretty much. Yeah. When I was a kid, I used to fight every event I could, so that's most weekends, and then probably averaging around once a month or less for my whole life. Yeah. Yeah.
What's the win percentage looking like?
At the moment, on like internationally top level, it's about 50%. Yeah. Which is, it's not always like you win one, you lose one. Sometimes you go first round, sometimes you win or you medal. But like the comps I've been doing recently, they have been like it's literally the world top 30 turns up and you scrap it out. So it'll go up. It will go up from 50%, but at the moment, it's about 50%. Sounds like a bum, don't you? Like if you were a boxer and you were like, I'm 15 and 15, you'd be like, oh, so you're not very good then.
Yeah, it's a strange thing, isn't it? I think with all grappling tournaments, I think everyone has to go through that, especially early on as well. Like people take the losses early on as you're trying to like learn your craft a little bit as well. 100%. So I think it's easy to look at someone who's really successful and go, oh, well, they're just amazing. You know what I mean? They'll probably never ever lose, or they've never lost. But it's like that whole thing of like an overnight success, ain't it?
Yeah.
You're just seeing what that person's like at the very peak of like being in your eye line, basically.
100%. I think grappling is a bit more natural as well. Like they do definitely manipulate in boxing and MMA. As people have good grappling, just turn up to an event, you do it, you see how you do, you learn from it.
Yeah.
I'm sure 100%. Everyone's got more of a bum record.
Is there any advice you'd give to your younger self now, looking back? Any mistakes that you made that you would have done differently?
Advice to my younger self.
It sounds like you've been pretty.
I've been advised quite
good
well.
Straight line, so.
Yeah, a little bit. I'd probably. I don't know. I think I did what I could. Like it would have been good to get down to out of Yorkshire more, to do more judo when I was younger. But like, how are you going to do that? I think don't know. Maybe just hammer and good technique when I was a bit younger. Actually, there is some advice I give to my younger self. Thinking about it, I'd do gymnastics when I was a kid. Oh my god, because I'm such a retard when I'm trying to move. Like, I'm okay. Like you probably couldn't tell, but compared to some of the lads that I train with full time, like that did gymnastics when they were kids, they're so well coordinated and they can like watch a move and like boom, they can do it. Whereas me, I'm there trying to figure it out for 5 days. I have to do 1,000 reps just for it to look.
Yeah. To be fair, that's probably the same. If someone asked me that question as well, I'd go and do gymnastics. I got both my kids doing gymnastics because I think it will just set them up for doing anything. So any sport they want to do, I think gymnastics gives you that, like you say, the coordination, the flexibility, the upper body strength.
Mate, bang on.
I think it really set you up as a kid to. But then saying that, it's always an interesting question because would you be like who you are now if you did gymnastics?
No.
Would you be the same body type, or like maybe it's the body type you've got now that's helped you win what you've won?
Right.
So a bit like a butterfly effect.
A bit of a butterfly effect. I don't know. Damn, it'd be nice to have some gymnastics though, wouldn't it?
Just be able to do like a celebration.
Yeah,
really good celebration.
There wasn't that much like male gymnastics around like Penistone, Barnsley though. I know there's a club in Barnsley, but by me there wasn't easy to do.
Yeah, it seems to be a bit more common nowadays. There seems to be gymnastics. I mean, around here there's loads of gymnastics clubs.
Yeah.
So definitely not short of them, and they're all full as well. They've always got loads of kids in them. There's always waiting lists for them. So
I tell you what though, I'd like to go to a healthy. I know there are good, nice, healthy gymnastics clubs probably, but some of the stories I hear from the lads that used to do gymnastics when they were younger, I'm like, really? Mate, that coach should be like, not in a weird way, but that coach was definitely a bit abusive to the kids. Yeah. Like they are tough on them, aren't they?
Yeah, it's a difficult one. There's a coach I know in Leicester, and he does wrestling, and I've seen some of the kids' classes before, and the way he talks to some of the kids is like, it made me like, what's the word? Like not cringe a little bit. Yeah. The way he talks to him, I'm like, fucking hell, like, what's that kid gonna think when he goes home, or is he just used to it? I don't know, but just berating the kids for not, for being lazy or not doing the right thing, or.
That's wrestling for you, isn't it? Though it's a weird.
Yeah, it's not how I teach the kids down here. That's for sure.
Nah, I have a fake.
I don't think I'd get away with it.
Nah, I have a fake children's entertainer personality. I'll try and slap on, It's so hard coaching kids. It's the most tiring thing, especially when they're like 5 years old or something. Like, it's nice, but it's so hard.
We're just starting to do 4 to 5s this coming year, but we're running it as a just games. Yeah. So at the minute we've got a 5-year-old class that I'm quite serious with. Like I teach them techniques, like within what they can do. But so we're going to do a 4 to 5 class, which is going to be a feeder basically for that class. Because some of the kids are just like screaming because they don't want to leave their mum, or just random stuff like looking out the window. So I'm going to try and use this class as a feeder to get them ready for the 5-year-olds class. Basically.
Yeah, I don't know how people do it. How could you be like a primary school teacher? Fair play to them, but it'd be such hard work.
But that's how you make money. Right, so we'll get on to the Commonwealth Games a little bit then.
Yeah, go on.
So first question around it is how important is... Right, in fact, what I want to say to you first before I ask this question, your bench press is 165 kilos.
I've done 170 a few times. I'm going to try and do 180, I think, tonight or tomorrow. Yeah.
Is that'd be your PB?
That'd be my best, yeah. Just 4 wheels aside and then I'll chill out a bit.
Do you know what my PB is?
What?
During COVID, I tried to just get fat because there was nothing else to do. I got fat and just tried to lift some weights, and I got a 1 rep max of 100.
Respect. Yeah, but it's not like... It doesn't carry over exactly, does it? I just enjoy doing the old beep press.
Weights are no good for me, to be fair. It don't really suit my body type. No. I just seem to get injured if I do weights, and then I'm getting old as well now, but if I try and do weights and then like twist around in jiu-jitsu, I just get injured. So I do like little bits now, but yeah, so my question was going to be, obviously, like I said, I'm impressed with that because it's like double what I can do.
My question's going to be, are you nutty?
Yeah, I'm going to ask you that on a podcast, but...
I am nutty. I am nutty.
But my question was, how important is strength and conditioning to be able to do high-level judo?
Yeah, I think judo it's a different game as well. Like, it is, the exchanges are shorter. I think it helps to be strong and explosive, as well as like it has massive demands on your fitness, as does grappling and jiu-jitsu, but judo is very intense, so I think it's very important, but at the same time it's not as important as being good at judo. Hurts me to say that as a meathead, but like there's people who like maybe don't do the best times on fitness scores who win all that like overtime things in judo, and like for me, like I bench a lot, and there might be some people out there that only bench like my weight, they might bench 120 or something, and they're phenomenally good at grip fighting, and they don't feel any weaker than me just because they're so efficient. Yeah. So I think it's important. Somebody who bench presses 180 and squats 240 or whatever standing up is probably going to be able to have their way with somebody who only lifts half those weights. Yeah. But only the difference between adding 10 kilos to your bench press ain't going to do anything. Yeah. I just enjoy it.
How do you think your career would differ if you took your strength and conditioning away?
I mean, I don't even do that much anymore, really, or I didn't before. I'll tell you about my injuries I had in a bit, but like I just lift weights like probably an average of once a week for a while, for like a year or so, maybe twice. Do conditioning twice.
Of what you've done anyway.
But I do judo every day. Like 5 days a week. I mean, I guess
like being a kid and like you say doing something as intense as judo, probably build up a lot of.
But then I think one of the reasons I was good when I was like 17 wasn't because I had a lot of judo and training partners like these other people had, but it's because I do so much like weights and stuff in my garage and go running and that kind of thing. Yeah. Not that I'm any good at running, but I just think I was like very physically developed early on, which helps. Yeah. So I don't know. I think I did need it for me. I think it worked out, but. You've got to do some strength and conditioning. You can't just be a wet lettuce.
Absolutely. Yeah, even just for like injury prevention as well.
But you hear people like, even they'll come to like jiu-jitsu clubs and they're like, oh, what exercises should I do to get good at jiu-jitsu? And you're like, mate, just fucking do jiu-jitsu. Like, if you want to get good at this, you've got to do this. Same with judo.
Yeah. I literally was telling one of the newer guys the other week, he was saying like, I'm going to do more classes. I've just got to get in like better shape. I was like, come on, you ain't never going to like sit at home and getting in better shape to do more jiu-jitsu. Just doing your jiu-jitsu, do you know what I mean? And so what was your training like going into the Commonwealth Games then? So I'm looking at this is basically going to be the peak of your performance. So what are you doing like, even with like your split as well, so like how much judo are you training, how much strength and conditioning you're doing, what's like your week look like?
I mean, it was a good, like I did kind of peak for the Commonwealth Games, which I don't often have time to do, because like there were some good lads, especially the Canadian lads in my weight. They are very good, they're like world top 10 type. A typical week for like 6-8 weeks out would look like live rounds, like which called randori, sparring, 4 days a week, like Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, every morning. Maybe get as many as like 10 5-minute rounds in, maybe 8, around that kind of numbers. Then do some technique after or later on in the day. And as well as that, depending on the day, you do some strength or conditioning. So like I might do gym, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, conditioning, Tuesday, Thursday, randori, 4 days. On Wednesday I might just do, I know it's not easier, but it is easier on your body, like groundwork, randori. So maybe 5 randori sessions a week, 2 conditioning sessions, 3 strength sessions. Keep those kind of numbers up for 4-6 weeks type thing, and then just taper off. Don't do much randori, shorter, intenser sessions. Your body's good to go. But I think a good performance is a mixture of your last kind of 6 weeks training and you last 6 years training.
Okay.
So I think that helps you peak, but obviously you have to have a really good 6 years before, so you're actually good enough to get good.
Yeah.
Probably about that.
Yeah,
And then I'd probably half the numbers week before, 2 weeks before, good to go.
So at that point then, how would you describe your style and like the techniques that you're using?
Minging style. I'm quite strong and droppy. Like they're the throws I'm good at, like the category we did today, stuff like that. The drop Tayo maybe. So quite droppy, quite awkward. I do like Newaza as well, which is what we call like groundwork.
Yeah.
So when I can do that, I will. I think you can steal good matches down there in judo because some people are really not that good. Minging. That's the answer.
One way of describing it. Going back to your mindset then, when you're going into this, going into the games, did you expect to win it?
I wanted to win it.
I know that's a very strange question. I've asked that to people before. Where it's like, well, of course I did. But not everyone does. Like some people, especially if you first won, sometimes you think, I just want a good performance. Or did you think I'm coming here and I'm winning this?
I thought I'm coming here, I'm going to do my best to win it. I can't pretend that I manifested it and only thought I'm coming here, I'm going to win it, because some of the people are really good or even just really awkward. So I did want to win it quite a lot, especially because it's something people would actually see instead of most judo. Even though most judo grand slams and stuff are a lot harder than the Commonwealth Games, I'd say. But there are some really good lads in my weight. I thought I might win it though, because I've been on with them before on training camps.
Right.
And I definitely didn't think that they were going to just go through me or anything like that. So I feel like I could win it, and I will try to win it. I don't know. I think sometimes people just lie, don't they? They're like, I didn't even think losing was an option and stuff, especially American people. Yeah.
I sometimes never wonder though if that's a bit of stupidity creeping in as well.
Maybe
even looking at someone like a Conor McGregor and how sure he was going to win every fight all the time. When I look back at it, I think, well, obviously it's worked out for him now, and you look back at it and you say, well, he just fucking knew. But he could have had a loss here and there, and then all of a sudden you look stupid 100%. For saying those things. So is it a bit of blind ignorance?
He's a bit of an outlier character though, isn't he? That's probably why he's so famous, because everyone was like, let's see if this guy loses.
Yeah, definitely people watching him to lose.
Maybe he actually thought that, but there's always part of your brain that has doubt. I don't think that's something to be ashamed of or pretend doesn't exist. I think you just acknowledge that there is a bit and do what you can. And
how do you deal with the nerves then?
How do I deal with nerves? I imagine that it's in a way, almost like a performance enhancing drug, because it is. That's what adrenaline does. You have it for a reason. You're fitter, you're stronger, you're better with adrenaline. So when you feel I wake up in the morning and it's comp day, I can't eat the whole day because I'm nervous. I wake up and I think, oh, for fuck's sake, I've got to do a judo competition today. I really don't want to fight. I wish I just had another 2 hours in bed to put this off. But when you're actually there, it helps you to be nervous. So that's how I think about it. Because it's true.
Yeah.
It does help you to be nervous.
Yeah.
It's not pleasant, but it helps.
Yeah, I've always tried to explain to people that are going to compete that it's the shittest day of your life.
Oh, it's horrible.
But it's the best day as well at the same time. Once the day is over, regardless of winning or losing, it's still a good feeling either way. Obviously you want to win, but just completing the challenge of the whole day. I've always said about, not just the nerves, but I might just be speaking for myself, but going to the toilet about 20 times before you're about to compete. Is this my last shit? Is this, or is there another one?
When I'm nervous,
do I need to piss? Am I just nervous?
100%
all
agree.
That stuff.
Yeah.
Shall I eat now? Shall I eat later?
It's weird though, isn't it? Because it makes your whole life seem better when you do something as hard as competing, because it mentally and emotionally is very difficult. Mm-hmm. But then in a way, I was thinking with all the comps I was doing before I got injured, I was when I retire, I can just sit down in the morning, drink some coffee, chill out, enjoy my life like a normal bloke, and it'll be bliss. And now I haven't done judo for a bit, and I'm all I want to do is come back and do judo and compete and fight.
Yeah. It's the opposite, isn't it?
You just want what you can't have.
Yeah. It's like living that normal lifestyle. It ain't good for you. not good for your mental health, physical health. You need it. I need that competition. I think to get you to do stuff. So,
you do. I agree.
How did you qualify for the Commonwealth Games? Because I don't really understand what the judo format works.
For that, so it's different for different events. Like for the Commonwealth Games, it was all just selected by Team England. So you had to be. It wasn't even the best in the weight. They were selecting people based on their results abroad. So they could select 2 people in the same weight and no one in another weight, which they did. So I think I got a medal at a Grand Slam, which is the level down from like World and European Championships in judo. It would be a Grand Slam. There's 12 of them in a year. I got a medal in one in Abu Dhabi, so that qualified me in like one of the top spots for England's team.
And how does the scoring work in judo? So because I've seen that like on your Commonwealth Games, like you're winning 10-0. I'm assuming that's the Ippon.
Oh, that's like, so you get it's actually, the rules are changing, but then it's so complicated in judo. It's no wonder no
to
one
be
watches
fair,
it.
I'm a bit ignorant to it anyway. I don't like watch it or anything like that. So
you get like the 10, like there's the 1 is a Wazari, which is like half a score. So if you got 2 of those, it would go to 10.
Right.
And then the 10 is a Ippon. So if you throw them on their back or you make them submit or hold them for 20 seconds, that's the 10.
So what's the half score then?
Throwing them on their side or holding them for 10 seconds instead of 20 is the half. So you need 2 of them to win.
And then obviously the submissions...
Submission's 10. Yeah. And then if at the end of the fight, no one's got 10, but someone's got one of the ones, which is a Wazari, you win.
Yeah.
But now they're adding another even smaller score after that for a smaller throw or a 5-second hold down, I believe. And you can't win on them at all. But if at the end of the fight no one's got any Ippons or Wazaris, you'll win on the Yuko, which is the new small score.
Okay.
So
how long is the match?
The match is 4 minutes, but it's 4 minutes of actual time because the ref stops it quite a lot.
Right, okay.
If you go outside the area or it's kind of stalled out and stuff.
Yeah,
so
makes
it's
sense.
4 minutes. It ends up being a bit longer. The longest fights I've ever had, it ends up being like 15 minutes long because you can have golden score if no one's won.
Yeah.
So I've had some serious deep water wars.
Yeah.
But I quite like them. I actually do quite well in them, to be fair.
Yeah, I've always found that like whenever you have an overtime match and it's like whoever scores next is pretty much going to win. It takes the pressure off, I always feel like.
Oh, I like it, yeah.
I feel like a lot of the time when you've got, say, a 10-minute match, and because I'm talking from a jiu-jitsu point of view, you think, fucking, I don't want to make a mistake, and everything's got to be like, no, don't do this, don't do that. When it gets to the end, it's like, right, you got a minute overtime or something. It's like, okay, well, that's it, innit?
Yeah.
Off we go.
I don't know if it's in my head because I've done well in like a few of them, but I almost relax as well when it's like the match has ended. I'm like, oh, maybe it's because you've just not got flattened straight away or something like that. You're like, I can...
Describe the how the tournament went in your mind then. Obviously it went really well because you won it, but...
Right, it didn't though, because started off, I had this guy, I think it was, I don't want to get it wrong, I think it was Nigeria.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I looked yesterday.
Oh, he warmed up like left-handed, so I like did my left grip and stuff, this and that. And then he came out and fought me right-handed, so I was like...
So he did that deliberately?
I've never seen anyone do that ever, but he seemed to do it. I don't know if it's just because he was trying to stall me out, but I could not throw him. And I had his arm out, so I literally had his arm in a position where I'm sure your elbow rips into twice, and he just didn't break, and he didn't tap. I don't know what he was made of. I've never heard of him before, never seen him since. Fair play to him, he must be incredibly tough. And it went into like deep. I knew it might. It went into a golden score, which is like the overtime, and that was so stressful because if I'd have lost that fight, I wouldn't have even got a chance to fight for bronze because it's before the quarter-final. And then I had an Australian lad who I actually lost to in the Youth Commonwealth Games a few years back. He's Australian, like Australian Serbian. He's pretty good, and that was quite a tough fight as well. I went 2 Shidos down. I like to keep everyone stressed out in the crowd. I looked like I was going to lose every fight. And then I won that. I armbarred him. Thank God for a bit of groundwork because I couldn't throw him. And then I fought a Canadian guy who's really good in the semi, and I got a Wazari. And then...
What technique was that?
It was Siyanagi, Ippon Siyanagi. And then he got a Wazari back, which I wasn't even, like I've done Randora with him before, I felt pretty good. And he just felt so ridiculous. I just couldn't fathom how strong he felt when he put his hands on me. So he got one back and I was like, oh, fuck's sake. But then he kind of was pressing onto me so hard that I threw him again. So that was a big relief. And then I fought a guy in the final who is so good. He must medal at every Grand Slam, honestly. I'm pretty jealous of how successful he's been of recent. But yeah, the fight I made look the best was the final. Got me that Taitoshi, and jobs are good.
Is that the one I was talking about earlier?
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, man, that's such a good highlight.
That was brilliant. Great day.
Why did that technique look so great? What was the magic that happened?
He turns left-handed quite a lot. So his left foot, even though he's right-handed, came a little bit further forward than you would want it to be if somebody does the technique I do. And he had hold of my sleeve really tight. So when I skipped to the side, his hand came forward, and that left foot that I want to bring forward, I didn't have to bring it forward, it was already forward. And then I just happened to catch it nicely when I dropped. I don't know if that's luck or skill, but I'll take it.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
So which one was your toughest fight, would you say?
My toughest fight was the first fight.
Yeah. I think it tends to be, though, especially like with the nerves when you're first starting off a
I think
tournament.
so, yeah. God, the night before I was so nervous. Like, I'm nervous anyway, but waking up that morning, I was like, oh, you are joking. I actually have to do this now.
Yeah.
And yeah, a lot of people come to watch it, like coach me and stuff before, and family and things, who might not watch other events. So it's like I can't make them pay and bomb out. That'd be terrible.
Yeah. It was in Coventry, was it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was in the Rico.
Yeah. Nice and
pretty
local,
sick, actually. I like that venue.
Yeah. So did you have the home crowd then? You have a lot of support
that was great. I actually enjoyed having a crowd. Although I say that, right, I've always thought I'm better at fighting with a crowd. And then there was a crowd there and I was better. But then, like, Paris Grand Slam, it literally gets like 16,000 people coming to watch. And I fought a French boy there second round. And before going out, I was like, yeah, I'm definitely better in front of a crowd. So it'll actually play to my advantage. And then I went out and they were like shouting for him. I was like, whoa. It's like, not like that. And then he was just on fire because of it. And yeah, I lost that fight, but so maybe not. But I was good that day with the crowd anyway.
When you won the Commonwealth Games, you think you were the best person there on the day?
Yeah, what, in my weight? There?
Yeah, so I know obviously you won it, which would assume you were the best person. Do you think you were the best judo practitioner there on that day?
On that day,
or was there some... obviously you're saying that the Canadian guys gone on to have a good career as well.
Yeah, I mean, like that day, everyone on the podium I'd beat that day. So I would say, if that's the case, you beat both bronze medalists in my quarter and semi, and I won in the final. So on that day, I would say I was the best. Yeah. He has had a lot of success. I mean, I think that just goes to show how close it is and how close I am to having more success. So I think I will in the next few years.
Yeah.
But yeah, he has made it work.
I was going to say to you last competed in 23, but you've been competing up to now, right?
What do you mean?
So I thought you stopped competing in 2023 for some reason.
No.
So you're still... When did you get injured? Last year?
So Olympic qualification goes up to the World Championships for the Olympics, which is in May.
Okay.
So I stopped competing in May this year, but I'm going to keep, I'm going to go for LA 2028 and maybe the 2032 Olympics as well. I'm only 24 right now.
Yeah.
But I was fighting in Tajikistan. The great they are a great crowd as well. They love judo. They love judo. So like left field, but I was fighting this Georgian lad who I think I know him fairly well. The guy's a freak of nature. Like there was one time after training in Georgia, he's just like, I tried to do a one-arm chin-up, couldn't do it, and he was there. I was like, can you do it? And I think he genuinely never tried it, and then he just bashed a couple out literally like it was nothing. I was like, oh my days. I was fighting this guy, turned in for that, dropped Hayatoshi, and my elbow kind of popped out and came back in, because the week before at the European Championships I got standing arm locked and I'd definitely done something to it, but cracked on, and completely broke the ligament in my elbow, the UCL, and tore a bunch of muscles off the forearm, which still looks weird in the way it's reattached. But I carried on fighting. It's the only fight I've ever lost on penalties for being too passive in the fight. So I lost that, but then there was one competition left to qualify for the Olympics, and I was so close to going. Like, I was just constantly in and out of this bottom. It's the top 18 that go.
Okay.
Not counting like the double ups. It's one per country, so it would be top 19 if there's 2 Japanese, top 20 if there's 2 Japanese, 2 Russians, etc. And then I went to Worlds, and I actually won a fight with this. I just taped the fuck out my arm, didn't ask what was wrong with it, won that, and then I fought this Russian lad next. I lost to him, and it turns out my elbow was like a breadstick in a blender. So then since then, I got surgery on my elbow. I got surgery on an old injury on my hip 8 weeks ago. So I'm just coming back from that now, and I hope to be back fairly soon, next couple of months, I hope. Yeah. And I do miss it so much.
Yeah. So is that the plan going forward? Because obviously you're doing jiu-jitsu now as well.
Yeah.
Is the plan going forward? You're just gonna keep doing your judo?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna do. You know what's a massive shame? You can't compete in jiu-jitsu if you do judo.
Oh really?
I'd love to have a bit of a crack, especially at the no-gi stuff.
Yeah, I was going to ask if you'd.
You see, I'm not saying I'd be as good as other judo people that have done it, like Owen. Like, he's phenomenal at wrestling, but God, I'd love to have a go.
We're getting him down later this year.
Oh, he's a cool guy. What a beefcake. So unfortunately you can't compete in both at the same time. A guy called Travis Stevens tried it, and they took loads of world ranking points off him, and I think
was it Travis Stevens?
Yeah, I think they might have fined him as well. So just judo for the foreseeable, that dead sport.
Would you try MMA or anything like that?
I'd rather try grappling than MMA. I know MMA is so hard. Like, people say that to me, they're like, oh, would you? But you have to learn so much new stuff, and not all of it is massively transferable, and it's so competitive as well.
Yeah.
If I was like Olympic champion or something, which, one can hope, maybe it'd be worth doing then. You're a bit more of a name, maybe get signed by someone good, but I think it's harder than people think. Have you ever done any MMA?
Yeah, back in the day I did.
You look like someone that does MMA. I
had a decent amateur career, to be fair, but then I was quite a late starter. Right. I didn't really start any martial arts till I was 20. I didn't take it seriously till I was 22. So then I started grappling, but then I did some MMA as well. And then I did my last MMA fight, 29 I think I was. So I'm 40 now. But when I got to 29, I was like, well, where do I go with this? Because it was around that time that I decided that I was going to do this, like, to make money, basically. So I just had shit warehouse jobs, but pretty much all my life up until 28, when people started handing me cash for privates, and it blew my mind. Like, people were paying me to teach them jiu-jitsu. I was like, what? I can make money doing this. So that just started building it up from there. So by the time I was like 29 to 30, I thought, well, I'm decent at MMA, but I'm still learning. Like, you could crack on and maybe go the Cage Warriors route, try and get to UFC, but then you're going to be 38, 39, or you open a gym. So that's the path I went down, is opening a gym, basically. So it was basically money driven.
100%. But that's what people don't realise. Like, they think you can just take up MMA and get signed by the UFC if you're a big wrestler. Like, it's such a long path, and it's quite political, and I mean, you know a lot better than me, but
you just got to I think you've got to be young to do it. Like how you said that you don't necessarily need so much money if you're a student and you can spend a lot more time doing things. I think once you hit a certain age where, say, you have got a missus, or you've got a house, mortgage, maybe a kid, something like that, you need money. You've got to have money. It means more than, do you know what I mean? You can get by with like very little money early on.
Shit in it that you need.
And even when I was like 28, 29, making that transition, I'd actually moved back in with my parents at that time through my situation, so I could basically earn nothing. Which allowed me to then work back up. Do you know what I mean? Doing a few privates, doing a few classes, and then slowly building things up until you're making enough money to actually have your own house again and have like a life, basically, again. So it's just getting to that stage where you're kind of replacing your jobs, for example, with what you like doing, basically.
I mean, it's great. I mean, maybe one day I'll be able to run a gym or something, but I do like it, like teaching. I bet it's hard though sometimes.
the hardest thing is that when you're doing like jiu-jitsu because you love it.
Yeah.
But it's on my phone off. It's hard to love it as much anymore. You know, when you're teaching all the time.
Yeah.
The reason I got into jiu-jitsu was because I love competing. Yeah. And it was just that bug that I just wanted to compete all the time. I just wanted to win all the time. And that's why, pretty much the only reason I did jiu-jitsu, I think. So to now be a coach is totally against why I ever got into it in the first place. So that's probably the one downside of it. But
yeah, I think it's always like that when you make a hobby your life, though.
Yeah.
There's always going to be jobs and shit bits in there.
Yeah. So, why did you start BJJ then if you can't even compete in it?
I enjoy it.
I mean, I guess to be fair, judo and jiu-jitsu is hand in hand anyway, and they're pretty much.
Well, I think I just used to sack groundwork off all the time. Even when I did bits of BJJ, I'd just go to the ground and be like, oh. Because you can kind of ignore it if you want in judo. But I think Dad was like, it's hard to get good practices standing for judo, especially when I was getting a bit older and better, when I was like maybe 16-ish. So he just took me to some jiu-jitsu clubs so I could get good rounds on the ground. Yeah. So there's the fact you get pushed a bit. And yeah, I learned a lot. And now, I learned a lot of the groundwork I do through judo, but as well, like I do steal matches against really good people by just taking their arm and they just leave it out. They're really good at judo, but they just make so many mistakes on the ground. And I think it's just neglected quite a lot in judo. So yeah, and I just quite like it. I like the fact it's separate from judo and people aren't like taking it mega seriously all the time, because I think people lose the fun and everything in what they do. And I like people that do BJJ. I think they're dead sound, the ones I've met and the clubs I've been to, all pretty chill. And
what clubs have you been to then? Where did you first start?
I just used to go to ones around Sheffield, but they're all ones that are like this, like Gordo gyms. Guy called Rich in Sheffield, trained under him. I don't know if you know Rich. Dirtbag. He's just a cool person. Like he's what, you know, when you're on about like, unfortunately you need money, this and that, but he's just got that like typical jiu-jitsu hippie approach to life. Like he's just a cool guy. So I just liked going there, being with him, and I train at Ash's place in Cannock now and teach a bit of judo there as well, which is nice. He was singing your praises. I recently, I kind of knew of him and I met him in Tenerife just a few weeks back, and I told him that you were coming down to do a seminar, and he was singing your praises a lot. But yeah, they're just all, like, people like them, they're just sound, and it's just a bit different to judo, and I just like it. I like it's different enough to still be interesting, yeah.
So gi or no gi then?
I mean, I'm probably better at gi because I do judo and a gi, but I don't know. I quite like no gi. Again, because it's different. So that's a tough one.
Can you wrestle?
I'm good enough at judo to be good at wrestling. Like, I don't wrestle, I do judo, but I'm good enough at judo that people don't out wrestle me. not many, you know.
So, how old were you when you first started going to jiu-jitsu clubs then?
No, I don't know.
Was this years and years ago?
Years ago, yeah. Probably. I must have been like...
It's not like a new thing then? It's not like there's been a break where you've...
I must have been about 16. I mean, I didn't do much judo when I first went full-time for judo. I didn't drive or anything, so I didn't do much BJJ, but I've always done bits. And, big up purple belt and that, so... I know. But I just do judo, really. So
how much jiu-jitsu would you train getting ready for judo competition? What would your split look like?
Jiu-jitsu, I probably would like to just, along with all the judo sessions I do, if I'm honest, it wouldn't be more than once a week. I'd like to do a bit more, I think, when I'm back from being injured, but we shall see. I think a lot of it is because I get a good amount of like rounds and stuff even on the ground just from judo, but I don't learn that much new stuff. And when I go to jiu-jitsu, I just learn so much that even if I just go once a week, there's always bits I can pick up from my judo, especially around like proper systems for guard passing and stuff like that, and not just one size fits all. which judo can be very like that on the ground, really.
Yeah. Do you think judo's limited somewhat then in terms of like how much there is to learn? Because BJJ is almost like can go on forever. Like you start including all your worm guards and all that kind of really funky stuff, and it literally goes on forever and ever. You could never learn everything. No. But do you think judo, there's a bit like how striking is, where striking, like once you've learnt like a jab, a cross, an uppercut, do you know what I mean? There's only so many like techniques.
No, because especially standing, there's so many. There's like 50 different throws, and there's so many different ways to do each throw, and different combinations of throw, and there's different styles of judo. So I would say no for that. In terms of the groundwork of judo, it is a bit like that, but I think that's just because of the way people see it. I don't think it actually is, because you always see people doing new stuff, especially since jiu-jitsu got big and people cross-train.
Yeah.
So it's not, but I think sometimes people that are good at judo as well, they have their game and they just focus on it, and obviously you will focus on what you're good at, but it's just not fun if you don't learn new stuff. And
yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I feel that myself. I love learning. I mean, that's one of the reasons I got you down here today, was because I wanted to learn more new stuff. Do you know what I mean? Otherwise, it just gets boring, because I don't really train with my students now because I haven't got the time to like,
so many people who
like
coach
I used to.
BJJ clubs say that.
Yeah, so it's like the fun part for me now is not smashing guys that aren't as good as me. It's like trying to do these new moves against them that I'm doing for the first time, or do you know what I mean? So
I think you can just enjoy training a bit more as well. Like I think a trap I've realised since I've been injured I fell into was always like almost living for the future and results, like a kid waiting to leave school or something. Like you're not actually enjoying the days you train. You're just thinking, oh, I'm just going to work hard today, not enjoy it for that result. Whereas if you learn stuff and you actually take in the day, and it's a little bit better.
Yeah. What's your style then in jiu-jitsu? So when you're rolling, you're not a guard puller.
I'm not a guard puller, but I play butterfly guard because I'm good at like sweeps, and I just basically do sumigashi to people because I can outgrip them and just drag them over.
So you can basically just get your judo in there.
I do so little. I do like an over-under pass, or I'll let them get me in half guard and just tie arms off and find my way out and use pressure. I am adding more, and then once I'm round, if I can take their back, I will usually armbar people. There are people that can fight it a bit, if I can get round to the side. It's different though, obviously, because in jiu-jitsu, when I pass someone's guard, they'll keep their shoulders down and they won't just try and turn away from me because I'll rip their arm off. Yeah. But in judo, you get hold downs, so you get really different reactions in jiu-jitsu to judo. Yeah. But I do very judo-y jiu-jitsu, I'll be honest, and it can be a bit simple, but...
I was going to ask you what's your favourite submission, but...
Armbar.
Yeah. That's a dumb question. So what's your long-term goal then now?
I'd like to be an Olympic medalist.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know people, like, obviously, I'd rather be an Olympic champion than an Olympic medalist. But like, there hasn't been an Olympic medalist from Great Britain in the men's since like 1990 or something like that. And it's so hard it's a weird system to qualify for the Olympics. It's very hard for us European men to qualify. So I think when you're qualified, you're literally halfway there. And
so what's the pathway look like to qualification then? So if you're to qualify for 2028 then, what's the...
It starts 2 years before.
Yeah.
And you got to compete in the Grand Slams and stuff to win points, and then they add up your points, and the top 18 go, more or less, from the best 6 results in each year. But obviously I've got improvements to make before that time starts, so every year is important. And if I can get as good as I can get by kind of mid-2026, and it's not even that far away, is it really?
Soon comes
and
around
hit and
so
then,
how old are you in 2028 then?
I'll be 28. If my body holds together, and if I'm good enough, I'll carry on after that as well. I do hope I've improved a lot in the last few years.
What do you think's the age limit on trying?
It's a bit younger in judo than it is in grappling MMA. I think most people stop in their early 30s if they're good, and late 20s if...
Who was the huge guy at the recent Olympics that did really well?
What, big Teddy Riner?
Yeah,
the big
he was
French
the old guy, right?
He's quite old. I think he medalled in Beijing, so he's got medals each of them. Won 3 of them now.
Yeah.
I think the shelf life of big guys is a bit longer because it's a bit slower. But saying that, there's a 3-time Olympic champion that was under 60s. Met him actually.
Yeah.
He was just, I was at their dojo in Japan training. Horrible place. Some beatings were dished out, not by me. Yeah.
So basically, you just got to keep winning then. Keep winning and you get there.
I think if I just keep improving for the next few years, then I'll be good enough to definitely go to LA. And if I'm good enough to go, then you're in with a good shout of doing well.
Yeah.
And I would hope to carry on after that as well.
What do you think the improvements are that you need to make then?
I think I am... Look at that, I'm giving my weaknesses away now. No, I think...
We're not that famous yet.
Yeah. I'm a little... I can be a little one-dimensional in terms of I attack mostly from kind of one grip, one position, whereas most people who are top 20 in the world, they have a few different options. It's not that I'm not good from different options, it's just that I've always, especially with how quickly I've had to try and improve to qualify for Paris, which I nearly did, I've really had to focus on what I was really very best at. So I think adding a little more there to keep working on the groundwork, because like you can steal so many matches in judo with it. They're not massive changes, but nothing is. That's not how you just improve with little changes constantly.
Yeah.
So
I think that's what it is, isn't it? When you get to the top level, you just got to make a few little tweaks here and there.
I do think it's doable. I do see myself doing it, and I don't know if that's me being Conor McGregor was. I think it's pretty doable. It's not easy, but
if put a prediction on it then.
On what?
On where you're going to get to.
I will qualify for LA, and if I qualify for LA, I'm in with a good chance at medaling in LA. So,
but you got to predict it though.
I've got to predict it. Right,
so
Olympic medalist.
What do you do? Gold.
Oh, damn! You're just going up. I can't say no.
We're going full Conor McGregor.
Right, full Conor McGregor. Yeah, gold medal. I don't know. I think it's hard to focus on things so far away. I think if I get better at the things I need to get better at, then it will come, because it always has.
Yeah, fair one. What's the plan with coaching?
Coaching, as in coaching after.
So I know you're teaching a little bit mechanic. You've done this seminar today.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to teach as much as possible, because firstly, I enjoy it. I enjoy teaching judo. I feel like I'm, not in a cringe way, but I feel like I'm doing something for people. It's not just myself. Like when I'm training, I'm only ever doing things for myself, and it's a kind of selfish life, and you feel like you're not really adding any value to anything sometimes. So I enjoy that, and it helps me make money, which is very useful for reasons we've discussed already.
Yeah.
It means you can keep training. So I just coach. It's hard though, like I can't really run. I can't commit to running properly a club or anything, because I'm away so much with judo.
100%.
So just coaching seminars where I can, or my little Tuesday afternoon class I run at Clinic, and see where it takes me with that. I like it though.
Yeah. Do you see yourself, like, once you're done with competing, you see yourself having your own place?
Yeah, probably.
What
I don't know when that would be. I don't know where I'll settle down. But
do you think you'd have like just an overall grappling thing, or you just teach judo?
I think I'd hope if I do jiu-jitsu enough, and maybe a bit more of it, maybe one day like a grappling place. Because I enjoy it. I like the people that jiu-jitsu attracts, so I wouldn't want to just do judo. And it's like, it's what people want as well. Like people want to do jiu-jitsu and grappling as well. Yeah,
this is the thing as well. That's where the money's at.
Yeah.
It's like I was saying earlier with the kids. I never saw myself teaching kids classes ever, but it makes up half my numbers.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? If I stop teaching kids classes today, that's half my money just be gone straight away. So
that's a good point. That's a very good point.
Unless you can pay someone else to do it.
No, I mean, I've run loads. Like recently, I had to go home and I had to cover some of my dad's classes, which are kids' classes, and or some of them are. So is your dad full-time coach? No, he's a retired school teacher. Okay. But he just loves coaching, so he runs a couple of clubs. He runs one in Sheffield, one in Penistone. But I can do it. I can do kids' classes, and I do enjoy it. It's just different, though. I prefer teaching adults. I'm sure you agree with me. It's less pressure. That's what I'd say. Yeah.
With kids, you got to make sure they don't like kill each other. That's the hardest thing. Like adults, you can kind of like look.
Yeah.
If you make a stupid decision, it's kind of on you. But with the kids, if they make a stupid decision, it's on me.
I think it's pressure as well, because you are probably more of an influence to them as well.
Yeah.
Like you do kind of help shape them a bit, whereas an adult's just.
Yeah.
I mean, it does still shape as a person, obviously, but
Yeah.
it is different, isn't it?
Yeah. I have to not swear as well. Like I'm pretty bad at swearing all the time, and I have to not swear on the kids' classes. So.
Yeah. I actually don't manage to do that quite often.
Even in front of my own kids. I always promise myself I won't swear in front of them, but straight out the window.
Yeah, luckily my dad's so bad at that as well. It doesn't really matter when I do. But if I'm doing like a seminar at someone else's judo club, I won't swear in the kids' class. Yeah. I'll try not to swear in the kids' class anyway.
Got to be careful what you do nowadays anyway.
Yeah, you do. Get cancelled.
Exactly.
Get cancelled for this podcast, probably.
Well, yeah. Well, we had Ben on, didn't we, a couple of months ago, Ben Popperton.
Yeah.
So that's probably the closest I'll get to being cancelled.
Oh, what a guy.
Ben's got some wicked points of view, and he definitely don't hold back.
He doesn't hold back.
Yeah.
He's a proper Barnsley bloke, you know.
Amazing podcast that was. Yeah, so we're on to the back end of the podcast now. So I'm going to ask you what advice you'd give to someone who wanted to follow your footsteps. So basically the path that you've gone through with judo, you've got a 10-year-old kid who says, Lachlan, I want to be like you.
Yeah, I would say to just how well you do, it's like a testament to your interest in it. So just be very interested and keen and stay keen. I think the thing that separates people the most, obviously how much they train matters, but you get loads of people that train a lot and some do well and some don't. Yeah. I think the people that are really obsessed and keen do the best. So stay keen and then try and be athletic, so fit and strong. Yeah. And then also try and just be a bit of a rounded person. Like don't just put all your eggs in the judo basket, try and like get an education and do other things as well. Because I think, especially if you look at judo, so many people are really good and get so far and like they never make it in a way where you can make a living off it or monetize it. So, you know, and you just, why would you not want to be a more well-rounded person anyway? So I'd probably say those. Yeah. You know.
What about nutrition? We've not really touched on that.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny. I think we come back to making money. I think I might start selling like S&C program type things with my brother, doing that kind of thing and a bit of nutrition help, because I think it can make a big difference. Just basic things done well with gym, conditioning and nutrition. Yeah. I think with nutrition, like you look at some people that are training quite a lot, they eat like 100 grams of protein a day or something, and you're like, mate, you're leaving so much free improvement on the table. If you just eat the right amount of calories, hydrate properly, eat roughly the right macros, and then stuff like 5-7 portions of fruit and veg. You don't even have to get into like the splits of your saturated v unsaturated fats and like the finer details, which I work with a nutritionist and those things do matter, but are just basics done well and you're not like a zombie when you try and train.
What does it say about oils, cooking oils?
I think, I know it's a bit of a controversial topic.
I can't find the answer to this. I've asked a few people, I've done my own research. I can't find what the answer is.
I think you can, a lot of the meta-analyses around cooking oils which you'd perceive as bad, so not just like, you know, fresh olive oil or butter or something, it seems like they should do you harm, ostensibly. But in fact, in like the actual real world, when you study people, they're perfectly healthy when they have these fats and they don't seem to cause any health problems. And they do seem to be privately funded as well. They're not just, it's not big oil funding them. Yeah. I mean, I like to cook with like olive oil or butter and that kind of thing. Yeah, but if you're using weird cooking oils, and the trans fats are bad, so you're cooking oils from like, I'm pretty sure like McDonald's and stuff like that, or that's not great. But cooking oils in general, if you're not deep fat frying stuff, it's not going to kill you. But nutrition's important, yeah.
How are you with your McDonald's and your cheat days?
You know what, right? So I'm very good with my nutrition now.
Yeah.
I'm quite professional in all aspects. But when I was younger, I used to make a weight class that I probably shouldn't have tried to make, which is 73s. And you can imagine what I look like when I weigh 73. I look like a dehydrated, malnutrition child. And then after that, obviously, because you starve yourself so much, like I'd literally eat almost half of what I eat now in a day to just maintain the kind of weight I was walking around at. So I had no energy for training, so I couldn't improve. And then I'd rebound, and that's where, like, I do eat like shit now, but it's in the grander, well-balanced, good diet. So McDonald's ain't gonna do anything to me. It's fine. I say at this big body weight. But yeah, those rebounds, if you starve yourself too much, I mean, I'm sure you've seen loads of it in MMA. Yeah. It's terrible. And then I just look like a fat dad 3 days after competing and hate myself.
To be fair, that was one of my biggest regrets. Starting as late as I did, I used to like maintain a weight around 73 kilos probably, something like that.
Damn.
So like I was never able to put muscle on, so I didn't do a lot of weight training. Basically I just trained and then just trained jiu-jitsu and didn't really do anything else. So I was skinny as fuck. Like some of the fight pictures, no muscle definition or anything. Not that I'm big now or anything, but I had no muscle definition. So I totally regret like keeping such a low weight when I should probably be at I'm about 83, 84 now. I should probably be at least that, if not bigger, like for my height. So
a lot of people say that. You just get into a thing though, don't you, where like I need to be this weight class. But then good people can fuck people up at a lot of different weight classes. They can move up, move down. So, yeah.
So definitely eat loads of calories.
So don't hold your weight down.
Right, last question then. What's the most important thing you've gained from martial arts in general?
Probably. Oh God, there's so much you gain, isn't there? It's quite hard.
Yeah,
I think a better perspective on all things. So that includes confidence for a start. When you're a kid, when you grow up, like you don't feel like someone could just take advantage of you in any way. You're a confident person. And then perspective through the way we were talking about before, like when you do hard things, it just allows you to see the beauty in the rest of your life because you're not having to do a fucking judo competition that day. Probably those two.
Good stuff, man. All right, I'm going to let you get off for today. Then I've taken up about 7 hours of your life today, just doing the 7 hour.
I hope it wasn't a boring podcast.
No, man, it's wicked. The whole idea is to get people like yourself on it, that I can pick your brains and other people like to hear that kind of stuff as well, like the mental side of competing and, you know, what your training schedule looks like and that. And obviously the seminar was amazing as well, so I appreciate you coming over and doing that. So anyone who's listening wants to get Lachlan in for a seminar, give him some money.
Yeah, do it, I need it.
Let him know. So thank you very much, mate.
Thank you, that was good.